I intended to simply deliver a KFC order and be on my way. But then she gazed deeply into my eyes and said, "If you're brave enough, stay." I had no idea that just moments later, something within me would transform forever because of one woman, one night, and one unforgettable question. The events that followed continue to linger in my mind. If you've encountered a person who turned your life on its head in a heartbeat and disappeared before you could grasp the reason, this tale is meant for you. Show your support for genuine emotional stories by tapping like and subscribe if you're on board. Sometimes it only takes a single gentle invitation to transform everything. My name is Noah. I'm 22 years old, and this summer has taken an unexpected turn. I've been delivering KFC orders throughout Asheville, North Carolina. This is a component of a summer internship organized by my college. It's more of a side gig than a career shift, yet it covers the expenses. It genuinely assists in clearing my thoughts. The vibe of Asheville, that's the phrase, that comes to mind most nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains. It boasts charming old bookshops and inviting coffee shops, charming boutiques, creative nooks, and gentle jazz wafting from vinyl shops. It's the sort of place where not much ever occurs, yet there's something pleasant about that. Here, the rain falls frequently, not the kind that roars and startles you, but rather a gentle, persistent drizzle that fills the air with the scent of damp pine and asphalt. Some days, I stroll past the library on Montfort Avenue and ponder what it would feel like to truly belong in this place. On some days, I find myself cruising around, delivering buckets of chicken to those in need of a tasty meal. I reside in a small studio situated above a vintage shoe repair establishment. The ceiling is peeling and the paint is chipped. My flatmate is often away, leaving me with plenty of time to myself and an abundance of thoughts swirling in my mind. To be honest, I feel completely lost when it comes to my life's direction. I find my major to be lacking in excitement. My friends seem far away. I excel at feigning that all is well. Yet within, it feels as though I'm perpetually suspended just above the surface, anticipating the moment when gravity will finally bring me back down. On an ordinary Thursday evening, I rapped on a door, and in that moment, everything transformed. It was a Thursday night, the sort of night that seems to blur the lines of reality. The sun had just dipped below the hills, casting a warm golden glow over Asheville, transforming even the cracked pavements into something resembling beauty. Before I could finally clock out, there was one last order to fulfill, a KFC family combo complete with extra biscuits. The location was in Montfort Hills, an upscale, and tranquil area of town that I typically didn't service. Winding roads, charming Victorian homes, gentle porch illumination, and the soothing sound of wind chimes softly ringing. Rather than causing a commotion, I quietly navigated the GPS through the towering oaks and arrived at a house that seemed to have stepped right out of a Southern Living magazine. It wasn't extravagant. More timeless than anything, white shutters adorned with ivy gracefully ascended the walls. A spacious front porch featured a rocking chair that appeared to hold countless tales within its creaks and sways. I took hold of the bag, made my way up the path, and rapped my knuckles twice on the door. As the door swung open, I found myself momentarily lost, the reason for my presence slipping from my mind. She stood there, Vivian, likely in her mid to late 40s, with auburn hair cascading down past her shoulders. She wore a dark green cardigan and understated earrings, and I noticed no makeup at all. Yet there was an essence to her that exuded a sense of calm, as if the atmosphere itself took a moment to linger before resuming its flow. Her gaze locked onto mine, serene, inquisitive, completely unbothered by my evident awkwardness. I struggled to get your order out. She grasped the bag from my hands, and for a fleeting instant, our fingers brushed against each other. That's when she said softly, with a hint of playfulness, "If you're daring enough, stay." I blinked. Did I just hear that correctly? She remained silent, She did not wink. She glanced at me as if she was already aware of my intentions. My lips parted, yet silence enveloped me. My face was flushed and my heart raced as if I had just sprinted up a steep incline. I glanced at her, then shifted my gaze to the porch steps, only to return my eyes to her once more. "I suppose I ought to wrap up my shift," I murmured. She offered a slight nod, as if it came as no surprise to her whatsoever. "Suit yourself," she remarked, her smile still radiating that familiar understanding. The door shut softly. I lingered for a moment, my hands uncomfortably at my sides. My mind in a whirlwind, I performed a few flips. Then I rushed back to my car as if I had to escape. Yet as I pulled away, her voice echoed persistently in my mind. "If you possess the courage, remain." That night, sleep eluded me. And when I finally did sleep, she occupied my thoughts, perched on that porch, the light gentle and serene. A week had passed since the delivery, a full week spent replaying her words endlessly. "If you possess the courage, remain here." I convinced myself it was merely an odd, playful encounter, something to let go of. However, the reality is that I was unable to let her go. That afternoon, the sun at last broke through the dreary gray clouds that had lingered over Asheville for days. The atmosphere was invigorating, and the pavement radiated warmth beneath my feet. I chose to wander through Weaver Park, my beloved serene retreat close to campus. As I listened to music through my earbuds, my thoughts drifted, and then something captured my attention. I came to an abrupt halt. There she stood, Vivian. She strolled leisurely along a gravel path, her hands tucked into the pockets of a long olive-green coat. The late afternoon sun illuminated her hair, giving it a radiant golden sheen, copper. She appeared exactly as I recalled, serene, elegant. As if she were out of place in this setting, I panicked, averted my gaze, and feigned engrossment in my phone. However, the moment had passed. She apprehended me. She smiled a full and genuine expression, unlike that enigmatic half-smile from the porch. This one felt warmer. She approached deliberate and measured, halting just before me. "You look familiar," she remarked, her eyes glimmering. I took a deep breath. I brought your KFC last week." Her grin widened. "Exactly the delivery guy who just vanished." I chuckled. I experienced a sense of discomfort, uncertain about the seriousness of her intentions. However, I was intrigued. After a brief pause, she inquired, "Are you occupied?" "At the moment?" I nodded in response. "Then walk with me." It wasn't truly a question. It carried a softness, yet also an invitation to rise to the occasion. We began to stroll side by side, finding our rhythm. She inquired about school. I shared with her my experiences from the internship and expressed the uncertainty I felt regarding what lay ahead. She absorbed every word without interrupting. She then recounted her tale. Once a literature teacher, recently separated without children, she had relocated to Asheville 2 years prior to begin anew and had a deep affection for poetry. On those rainy mornings, we immersed ourselves. In the soothing sounds of jazz records spinning on vinyl, I expressed to her that I had never encountered anyone quite like her. She remained composed, simply stating, "You probably haven't." As we reached the park's edge and the light began to dim, she paused, rummaged through her purse, retrieved a small notepad, wrote down a number, tore it off, and handed it to me. "I don't usually do this," she remarked, "but something tells me you're worth the risk." Then, with that same serene elegance, she turned and walked away. I stood frozen, my heart racing. Gripping the number tightly, I pondered what on earth had just transpired. The piece of paper lingered on my nightstand for 3 days. Each night I would lift it, gaze at the number, then set it down as if it might sear my skin. I rehearsed my words. yet faltered before I could even press the call button. What was I afraid of? That she might remain silent, or even more troubling, that she might respond at last on a drizzly Tuesday evening. I found myself in my softly illuminated flat, phone clutched tightly, heart racing. I inhaled deeply, pressed the digits, and initiated the call. It chimed once, twice, thrice, and at last, greetings. Her voice was inviting and calm, the sort that encourages you to breathe out without even noticing you'd been holding your breath. "Hello, it's Noah," I remarked, tripping slightly, "from the park and the KFC." A gentle laugh floated over from the other side. I was beginning to wonder if you had misplaced my number. I nearly did, relieved I chose not to. We engaged in conversation for a brief while. She then inquired, "What do you think about dinner this Friday?" A quaint Italian eatery nestled just off Pack Square caught our attention. Softly glowing lights exposed brick walls and classic checkered tablecloths. I arrived, awoke at dawn, hands clammy, questioning each clothing selection. As she entered the room, I found myself momentarily at a loss for words. She wore a simple black dress, her hair cascading in gentle waves. Her smile greeted me, and in that moment, I sensed a burden ease from my heart. "You look quite presentable," she teased as she took a seat. "You look absolutely stunning," I exclaimed. We shared laughter, and the dialogue unfolded effortlessly, like the wine discussing cherished books, beloved albums, unfulfilled dreams, regrets, and those instances we only recognized as significant in hindsight. Departed Vivian shared with me a poem that had once been her lifeline. I shared with her a brief tale I penned during my high school days, a piece that remained unseen by any one time, drifted by, dishes were removed, and the air gradually thinned out around us. The streets outside glistened, remnants of the earlier rain still clinging to the pavement. We lingered at the curb, both hesitant to utter our farewells. She regarded me with that familiar, steady, probing gaze. "Would you like to come over to my place?" She paused. "Just to chat, or, no pressure, only if you're feeling up to it." She wasn't attempting to entice me. It was merely an open invitation. Inquiry. For the first time in a long while, I found myself unafraid of what the answer could hold. Her flat occupied the third floor of a charming old brick building situated just beyond the bustling heart of downtown Asheville. There's no lift here, only a creaky staircase accompanied by a subtle hint of lavender wafting through. The hallway. Vivian gently turned the key, and with a quiet click, she opened the door and gracefully stepped aside. "Please come in," she murmured softly. It was nothing like I anticipated, yet it perfectly matched my vision of her space. The atmosphere was warm and inviting, brimming with personality, featuring aged hardwood floors and well-stocked shelves. The room brimmed with books, their spines contorted at various angles. The lamps emitted a soft golden light, creating a cozy atmosphere in place of the stark ceiling lights. A handful of monochrome photographs adorned the walls. In the corner, a record player gently rotated a Billie Holiday album, enveloping the room in a haze of smoky jazz. The entire space exuded a warm, inviting chaos. Each corner whispered its unique tale. "Feel free to make yourself comfortable," she said, slipping off her shoes and walking towards the kitchen. I lingered for a moment, feeling a touch of awkwardness absorbing the gentle flicker of the candlelight on the windowsill. A subtle aroma of chamomile mingled with the scent of aged books. Moments later, she returned, carrying 2 steaming mugs of tea. "Chamomile, it aids in calming the nerves." I smiled. "You think I'm nervous? I'm fairly certain it's you who is." We sank into a plush velvet couch, sitting closely together, our legs nearly brushing against each other. The tea enveloped my hands in warmth. The jazz music enveloped us in a warm embrace. For some time, we simply engaged in conversation. She shared with me the story of her mother, who had passed away unexpectedly 2 years prior, how Vivian never truly moved past that loss, and how she had once embarked on writing a novel, but ultimately abandoned it. At one point, I believed her words held all the significance. However, eventually, even those ceased to arrive. I shared with her the sense of invisibility that envelops me on most days, as if I were observing life from behind a glass pane, near enough to witness it, yet never truly engaged in it. I had been moving through life wishing for someone to take notice. She listened in a way that made you feel completely open, as if all your defenses had vanished. Subsequently, our dialogue fell into silence. She leaned in gently, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Her hand gently found its place on mine, and then, as if it were the most natural thing in the world, we kissed. It was neither hurried nor pressing. It was gradual and profound, as if something within us was undergoing a restoration. Her touch was soft and intentional, offering without expectation, simply bestowing. As we sat in silence, she turned her gaze towards me, not with longing, but with a deeper, more genuine connection. "You awakened emotions in me that I believed were gone," she murmured. "Hope." The gentle notes of jazz filled the air as I awoke to the inviting aroma of freshly brewed coffee. For a brief instant, I remained still. I simply reclined, enveloped in a warm blanket, in a stillness that felt not vacant, but secure. The morning light filtered through the linen curtains, bathing the room in a gentle mix of golden and soft gray hues. Vivian stood in the kitchen, her feet bare, the robe casually draped around her waist. She moved slowly, deliberately. As if she had come to value the small details in life, I propped myself up, fingers weaving through my hair, uncertain if the events of last night truly happened. Yet the warmth lingered in my chest. She mentioned that it did. She glanced back, a smile gracing her lips. "Morning, morning," I responded, my voice gravelly from slumber. She passed me a steaming mug, and we lingered there for a moment, sipping in silence. There's no rush, no discomfort, only this silent connection we share. I felt the urge to inquire about its meaning and what lay ahead, yet I restrained myself. In that instant, I sensed that the moment required no definition. As the moment to depart approached, I donned my jacket with deliberate slowness, reluctant to disturb the stillness that enveloped us. Vivian escorted me to the door, our gazes intertwined. "It belongs to me." "You can call me Noah," she whispered gently. I nodded, experiencing a fresh and comforting sensation blossoming in my chest. "I will, and I truly mean it." I held off for a day before reaching out to her. Keeping it straightforward, "I truly enjoyed myself. I hope you're doing well." No response. I reassured myself that perhaps she was occupied, perhaps she required some distance. 2 days passed, then 4. I dispatched another message. "I have you on my mind. Take your time. Hello there, just checking in." Still no updates. I dialed the number only to reach voicemail. No message was left. I gave it another shot the following day. Identical situation. Identical stillness. As the week drew to a close, I found myself unable to dispel the weighty sensation resting in my chest. It's the sort of feeling that you hesitate to articulate, as if giving it a name would somehow solidify its existence. On Saturday afternoon, I returned to her building. The sky hung heavy and dreary as if it were issuing a silent warning. I ascended the stairs, each step becoming increasingly arduous. As I reached the 3rd floor, I found myself standing before her door, my heart pounding in my chest. I knocked on the door. Nothing at all. I knocked once more with greater force this time. Yet again, nothing. I leaned my ear against the door. The flat seemed desolate, as if it had been abandoned for days. I lingered for a moment, uncertain of my next move. before making my way to the front office. A weary man, clipboard in hand, looked up. As I entered the room, "How may I assist you?" "Indeed, I'm in search of someone." "They live in the corner unit on the third floor." He sifted through the documents, narrowing his eyes. "Ah, Miss Bennett. She has left the premises." I blinked. "When did this happen?" "Approximately a week prior. She settled her payment until the month's conclusion. No forwarding address. Are you certain, young one?" "I was the one who secured the door after she left." "She has departed." I took a step back into the open air, strolled along the pavement, ventured into the road, and then came to a halt. Across the street, I noticed her window, once filled with the glow of lamplight and the soothing sounds of soft jazz, but now it stood dark and empty. She had simply vanished. There was no farewell, no message left behind. Not a single hint, and a part of me sensed that it had been completely erased. The days that followed seemed as though I was gliding through water. All things moved at a more leisurely pace. The sounds lacked vibrancy. Even my own thoughts seemed hushed. The words seemed foreign, as if they were never meant for me. I found myself constantly reaching for my phone, yearning for her name to appear, a text, a call, anything at all. Yet, there was silence. I ceased sharing details about her with my friends. I ceased to walk by the building. I steered clear of the park. Yet, she lingered in my thoughts incessantly. I wasn't angry, just perplexed and silently wounded, as if something exquisite had occurred, and I was the sole one clinging to it. After a long hiatus, I finally decided to crack open my journal one night. Do not write verses and notes I'd never truly dispatch, merely to preserve each tiny nuance. The sound of her laughter lingered. In my ears, her delicate movements as she stirred her tea etched in my mind. While a Billie Holiday song played softly in the background, I recorded everything not to forget but to retain, as clinging to those memories was the sole means of understanding what she had departed with. Indeed, she left behind something. Around a week following her disappearance, I discovered it concealed within the confines of my jacket pocket. The very one I donned that evening was a modest cream-hued note card unadorned on the exterior. Within was a beautifully penned quote. "Some people come into your life just to remind you what your heart still knows how to feel. Nothing more, nothing less, simply that I gazed at it for an extended moment, then tucked it into the rear of my journal, akin to embedding a flower within the pages. Something delicate, something precious to cherish. Vivian did not belong to me. Perhaps she was never destined to stay. Yet, in the brief period I spent with her, merely days in fact, she imparted more wisdom than many do over the course of years, not through offering guidance, not through lengthy or grandiloquent addresses. She revealed her true self simply by being authentic and by departing, at the moment she chose. Some individuals are simply not destined to remain in our lives. They arrive to rouse you from slumber. Vivian reminded me that connection doesn't always mean staying for the long haul. The focus is on the influence. Some connections don't have to endure forever to leave a lasting impact on your life. At times, a single serene instant is all that is needed. A steaming cup of tea, the gentle crackle of a vinyl record, a soft-spoken phrase at the threshold. If you possess the courage, remain here. I once believed that true bravery was about holding on, battling fiercely to retain something at any expense. However, Vivian revealed a different perspective to me. At times, bravery lies in releasing expectations, the quest for answers, the hope for someone's return. She didn't disappear. To cause me pain? I truly don't think that. Perhaps it was time for her to let go and embrace a new chapter. Perhaps she felt fear, or perhaps she truly was who she claimed to be. An individual embarking on a new beginning, one moment at a time. In that instant, she made her choice for me, and I had the opportunity to select her once more, even if just for a brief moment. One evening, one dawn, a silent farewell that never took place. She crosses my mind occasionally when jazz plays, a green scarf catches my eye, or I stroll by a bookshop with misty windows. I find myself pondering whether she ever thinks of me. Honestly, I really don't need to know. What is important is this: I hold her in my memory, not as someone who departed, but as someone who revealed to me that love, even if fleeting, can still be genuine. At times that suffices, have you ever encountered someone who turned your entire existence on its head in an instant? A person who remained steadfast, unexpected, yet transformative, whose presence unlocked something deep within you, rekindling feelings, trust, and hope anew? Perhaps it was an unfamiliar face, perhaps a person you cherished but were unable to keep close. Perhaps akin to Vivian, they arrived when you were unprepared and departed, before you fully grasped their significance in your life. I would be delighted to listen to your story. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. One can never predict who might find solace in those words this evening. If this resonated with you, please give it a like to express your appreciation. Discover it and subscribe for more tales that linger with us. At times, a remarkable tale isn't solely intended to be listened to. It's designed to linger with you softly and thoughtfully, perhaps even for eternity.